The next one we're going to look at is cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper moves blood, as we looked at, I think, yesterday. It's not a nervous system stimulant, it's a blood stimulant. So it can be used internally. We looked at it yesterday when we looked at heart. Remember the three things it'll do? It'll thin the blood, it'll open the capillaries, vasodilation, and it'll strengthen the arterial walls. Even though cayenne pepper will do that, if you have any internal bleeding, it'll seal the bleeding. So that seems like a contradiction. Open the capillaries but seal the bleeding. Remember Psalm 104 verse 14? God gave herbs for the service of man. It'll work with the needs of your body. So a lady told me this story. She said she was nearing menopause. She was bleeding heavily from her uterus. She didn't know what to do. She'd been bleeding heavily for 10 days. And then a naturopath said to her, take 2 capsules of cayenne pepper 3 times a day. She said by the end of the day her bleeding had slowed right down. So heavy bleeding internally, the cayenne pepper can be used. I appreciated what Edna told us yesterday. Remember she said she was taking 40,000 heat units cayenne pepper capsules and her body said yes. Then she took a 90,000 one and it came straight back out. So what was her body saying? That's a bit strong, that one. Go for the lighter one. When I was in Jamaica, I was staying with a couple. The lady was an accountant, they were in their 40s, and the man owned a construction company. And he was very well built. He didn't say very much. He had this construction company and he worked a lot. Because the lady, I worked more with her in the natural remedies and the lectures I was giving. And then one night she was working and he was there and he came up and said, Barbara, I've got a story for you. He's just... I said, yeah? He said, I hurt my back at work. And he said, and it was so sore I just couldn't sleep. And he said, I was walking the floor. He said, it helped a bit. He said, I knew I just had to give it rest, but he said it was hard to even lie down. It was so painful. He said, I don't like painkillers. I'm not going to take them. And he said, and a voice said in his mind, he's a Christian, take cayenne pepper. And he was surprised, because who would take cayenne pepper for pain? But he was in so much pain, he thought, I think that was the voice of God. I'm going to take cayenne pepper. He took half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That's pretty strong. But you know what you do? You just mix it in water and just throw it down. It's a bit tingly, a bit hot. Then he just chased it with some water. He said his pain, which was something like 9 out of 10, it was, you know, he couldn't sit, he couldn't lie, it came down to an 8 out of 10. So half an hour later, he had another half teaspoon in water. Came down to 5 out of 10. And he went to sleep. And the next day, his brother in America is a naturopath. He said, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. He said, you know, told the story. And his brother laughed and he said, cayenne pepper is a natural analgesic. It's a natural painkiller. So when I was helping a man, I think it was 2021, his wife rang me and she said, my husband's hand has gone through a roller. There's this machine, his hand is squashed. She said, he's in so much pain. I said, get him to take the cayenne pepper. If he's in a lot of pain, 2 capsules 3 times a day. She said, it's helping. And she said the doctor wants to take off the top of 2 of his fingers because they've turned black. This man's not that old, he's in his 40s. And I said, no. I said, sprinkle cayenne pepper on. Sprinkle cayenne pepper on and wrap them up, and the cayenne pepper will bring the blood to the area. Well, he started dialoguing with me. He said it was too painful, and he's a tough guy. I said, how much cayenne pepper did you put on? He put a half a teaspoon on each finger. I said, too much. And the girl said, that's my husband. It's just 110% to everything. I said, go lightly, a little sprinkle. And what I also suggested was put it with aloe vera. Aloe vera contains a growth stimulant. Do you know he kept his fingers? Doctor could not believe it. We didn't do hot and colds at first because the feeling in the tips of his fingers wasn't good, so we used the cayenne pepper. Now there are some people you cannot put their feet in hot and cold water. You cannot put cold feet in hot water. You cannot put people who have peripheral neuropathy, you can't put their feet in hot water. You can't put people that have no feeling in their feet in hot water. So how can you bring feeling back into their feet? Cayenne pepper. So how do you use the cayenne pepper for that? I've folded over a sheet of plastic and I've got a piece of kitchen paper here, and I'm going to dot that with olive oil, and then I'm going to sprinkle cayenne pepper on that. And you can put the foot straight on that. Now it's important not to put too much olive oil on this or you'll get olive oil everywhere. So what I do, I'll put it on there, I just dot it, and when I've dotted this I'll show it to you. Because there's nothing worse than olive oil leaking out on the sheets, and this is something that is worn overnight, so it's a little bit difficult to wear this when you're walking around. So this is definitely a poultice that well, we'd call this more a compress, and this is something that you'd wear overnight. And the reason for the olive oil is so that the cayenne pepper will stick to it, because if you don't have a bit of olive oil on this, the cayenne pepper just falls off to the side. So you'll see that I have dotted that. I think you can see that. I've dotted that with the olive oil, and now I will sprinkle it with cayenne pepper. I like the colour of this cayenne pepper. If the cayenne pepper you buy is brown, it usually means it's a bit old. But this is nice and red. So then you sprinkle about a half a teaspoon on each one. So a half a teaspoon per foot. And the foot goes straight on this. So the skin of the foot touches this. And what the person will find, let's say you're doing this on a person that has lost feeling in their feet, because remember what this is, it's a blood stimulant. By morning, often they've got pins and needles in their feet. Now, if I hadn't put the olive oil on that, I wouldn't be able to hold it up, would I? So all the olive oil does is causes the cayenne pepper to stick to the paper. And then the foot goes straight on that. And then you can put a sock on and they can wear it overnight. Remember what cayenne pepper is, it's a blood stimulant. It stimulates blood to the area. We have a lot of ladies that do our program who complain of cold feet. And when they complain of cold feet, I said, well, look what you're wearing. I'd have cold feet if I hardly had any thing on my feet in the middle of winter. Our feet should never get cold. Perfect circulation is required for perfect health. You can't have perfect health without perfect circulation. Perfect circulation means my feet, my hands, my whole body is the same temperature. And that is an indication that the blood is flowing very nicely. But if the feet are cold, there's not a lot of blood going down there. When I get up in the morning, especially in the winter, I never put my feet on the cold wood floor. Otherwise my feet will get cold. I have slippers there. So when people say their feet are cold, I say, I'm sure they're not cold in bed overnight. You have a hot shower, you go to bed, you're warm. So have a look at what you do to your feet when you get up in the morning. So the ladies that have cold feet, we put this on their feet overnight, and by morning their feet are warm. And sometimes you only have to do it